The Truth Girls. Truth Girls.
Hi everyone, Truther Girl Sonia here. Globalists freak out over Trump's proposed UN cut. Elites fear Trump will destroy globalist UN. Here's the source. EU foreign policy chief concerned over proposed cuts in US aid. So what's happening here is President Trump has decided to cut funding, 28% reduction in the State Department's budget, which would translate into steep cuts in US funds for foreign aid and the United Nations. So the European Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini expressed concern on Monday over the Trump administration's proposed deep cuts in US foreign assistance, saying it would destabilize major parts of the world and hurt American national security. How will it destabilize major parts of the world? Well, supposedly because the UN is doing the peacekeeping, and as we all know, they're doing such a great job, right? No, not so much. Remember what happened in Haiti after the earthquake? US accused of occupying Haiti as troops fled in. Now, it wasn't only the American troops that came in, it was the UN troops, and the place was absolutely crawling with them. I remember looking on Google Maps at the time. They were like ants that just invaded the whole place. And it was supposed to restore order. But a year later, the Haitians were still living in tent cities, and what the UN had brought them was mostly cholera. And after a year, people were saying, well, they need to get out. 6 months later, why are thousands of UN troops still in Haiti? 2013. They're still there, and everyone still wants them out. Surely it'll happen soon. Nope. 2 years later, Haitians are still in camps, and the UN is still there. 2017, they're still there, and the Haitians are still screwed. The UN have been there for 7 years, and they still haven't gotten the stuff straightened out. Well, there were tons of scandals and lots of cholera, but it didn't really seem like the UN were doing anything to help. Just to give you another example, UN peacekeeping scandal in the Congo, how Congress should respond. Here was the scandal. Personnel from the UN mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo stand accused of at least 150 major human rights violations. This is almost certainly just the tip of the iceberg. The scale of the problem is likely to be far greater. Another issue that the UN brings up is, well, you need us to bring vaccines to the developing world or they'll die. My question is, why always the focus on vaccines? How about sanitation? I mean, you've got people in India, Pakistan, they don't even have proper sewage. They're going to the toilet on the railroad tracks. A lot of the diseases that are vaccine preventable are also preventable with hygiene. There was a study which showed that just by washing your hands, you could cut down the risk of gastro and pneumonia by something like 50%. So I'm wondering, why aren't they investing in infrastructure and improving sanitation? Why is it always vaccines? Well, I guess we know the answer is that vaccines make a lot more money than toilets and running water. Another thing they're worried about is Iran becoming a nuclear power, Iran getting nuclear weapons. Because, of course, it's the UN that's keeping them from doing that, right? I don't really think it's the UN that's preventing a nuclear war. In fact, I'm not really sure how much the UN is doing at this point. The UN is failing. Is it heading the way of the League of Nations? Well, apparently now that Trump is cutting the funding, it probably is. The decline and fall of the United Nations, why the UN has failed. In this article, they give the results of a survey on Americans. In March 2006, a poll conducted by Gallup in the US found that 64% of respondents said the United Nations was doing, quote, a poor job, the most negative American rating for the UN in its history. Just 28% had a positive image of the UN's job performance. At the same time, however, 68% of those surveyed reported the UN's playing a, quote, major role in world affairs, with 26% supporting the view that the UN should play a leading role. It's kind of a paradox. On one hand, they want to see the UN playing a major role. On the other hand, they say they're doing a bad job. You know, that was in 2006, and I'm willing to bet that now, 10 years later, with the shift in consciousness that has happened in America, a lot fewer people would be saying they would like to see the UN playing a major role in world affairs. You know, since that time, what we've seen happening have been a lot of scandals, a lot of interventions that haven't benefited the people they were supposed to be helping. Who did they benefit the most? Maybe the globalists themselves. In any case, the globalists, of course, are very upset at the thought of any cut to the UN being a global governance body. But, you know, I had been to these conferences here in Montreal, the Economic Forum of the Americas, the International Economic Forum of the Americas, and I even stood at the door once and listened in while Brzezinski addressed the Montreal Council on Foreign Relations. Yeah, hard to believe that I could even do that, but they let me come to the door. I just stood there, took notes. And, you know, in both these places, they were saying that some of these global governance bodies like the UN, they have failed to accomplish what the globalists originally hoped they would. Their powers are very limited. And as you see right now, they're actually really not even doing a good job. So they're kind of borderline defunct. So why should Americans be giving money to the UN? What for? I think Trump, what he does is reflecting the will of the people who want to build America up. They want to see money in America. They want to see job creation. They want to see their economy grow. They want to see less influence of the globalists, more independence. They want to see pulling out globalist organizations and treaties. And that's what Trump is doing. Well, some people want that, but of course the liberals don't. Well, maybe one day the liberals will wake up and realize that life in the globalist New World Order is not so rosy. So let me know what you think. How do you feel about Trump cutting funding to the UN? Leave me your comments. Thanks for liking my video. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.
The girls.